Hey everyone, Steve from Flight Brothers, and today we're going to check out this all-new 2018 Diatone plug-and-fly 5-inch racing quadcopter. Stay tuned. And that's definitely just a whole different experience of that feeling when you're not bad at all.
Not bad.
Diatone's been releasing a ready-built plug-and-fly quadcopter every year for the past couple of years, and by far, this is their best and most powerful one yet. One of the reasons I say that is because of Diatone's new approach to the plug-and-fly this year. In past years, they've released their plug-and-flies with a lot of new electronics, a lot of new components that hadn't been tested yet. This year, Diatone took a new approach by using a flight controller that they've already had on the market for several months that's proven itself in reliability and functionality. Also, it's a frame that's been on the market for a few months, and we're using some proven Sunny Sky motors. Now they're a new design, they're open bottom, but they're a great size at 2306, 2450 kV with loads of power. The only new component on this quadcopter is the 40 amp ESCs. They're a brand new design. They're 11 millimeters thin to fit on the thin arms of the frame. And the other thing is they are 5S ready. The Fury F3S flight controller that's included also is 5S ready. So out of the box, you can plug a 5S battery into this quadcopter and fly it. And I have to tell you, I've done it and it absolutely rips. By the way, this flight controller does have included OSD, which goes into your camera feed. It also has a solder mount space for the TBS Unify Pro VTX that's included on this build as well. You really can get much better video than you get on this quad. The camera, well, it's kind of a generic micro, but if you prefer something a little better like some of the new cameras coming out, you certainly can mount any of those new micros. Think maybe the Runcam Eagle Pro or the new Predator micro that just came out would make a great upgrade. However, out of the box, the Micro HS1177 on here really does the job well. Now, there's a couple things that I will suggest that I did myself before you fly it. One, of course, you have to add your favorite receiver. This has both 3.3 volts and 5 volts on the flight controller that you can tap into if you're a Spectrum user or if you're a FR Sky or Fly Sky user. I use an XM Plus receiver, one of my favorites because it's small, light, and with the right firmware you can get the RSSI readout right on the OSD. Other thing that I did before I flew it, and I highly recommend you do this as well, especially if you're going to do 5S, is I added a quality Panasonic 1000 UF 35 volt capacitor. Now, it was a little tight to get it in there on the power lead, so rather than do it on the power leads, I was able to solder it directly to the Motor 1 ESC power port. It's not ideal, but it's certainly still going to offer you a little bit of protection that I prefer if I'm flying on a higher voltage battery. That is the only thing I did, and over several flights, it's proven super reliable and delivers tons of power while staying nice and cool. One of the nice things about the new ESCs on here, besides being thin and rated for 40 amps, they also have a nice heat sink that goes across the top that not only acts as a cooler for the ESC, it also acts as a nice shield from prop strikes. It'd be very unlikely that you damage these ESCs if you had a prop bend or something like that. It's important to note as you look at the pictures of my build that Diatone didn't, at the time they sent this to me, have the pigtails necessary to mount the antenna properly. So right now there's just a dipole on there, but if you were to purchase this, it would come with a proper SMA pigtail and an antenna that they give you. The frame itself, well, it's a design they've had out. This is the GTS version. So this is the one with the aluminum roll cage. They also have the GT-M version, which has a carbon fiber top plate and is a little bit lighter. It's got 6 millimeter removable arms that are pretty easy to switch, and also because of the way they are fastened to the bottom plate, they really don't have any possibility of shaking or rotating or getting loose over time, at least not that I can tell. Now, I do think you have to disrupt the stack to replace them, but overall it's a fairly easy swap if you ever did break an arm, which in my opinion would be really unlikely. The roll cage, that's aluminum. The nice thing about it compared to the old GT2 from 2017 is there's a ton of room inside this thing. You can add a few accessories. You got plenty of room for the capacitor and your receiver. In fact, I even stack mounted my XM Plus on a little stack mount unit that comes from White Noise FPV. It's a really handy little thing, and there was plenty of room to put it in there, so I went for it. On top of it, unlike the GT2, you've got amazing camera protection here. That micro camera and the lens doesn't protrude beyond the aluminum roll cage, so an impact to the front of the quadcopter is not going to directly hit the camera, unless it was something skinny or something like that. But overall, you've got fantastic camera protection, which anyone who flew the GT2 in 2017 knows that that was a bit of an issue. The only sort of downfall to the components in here is that this is still an F3 flight controller. I would have been really happy to see an F4 flight controller in here, but at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, I'm really pleased that Diatone chose to go with a flight controller that has already proven itself in reliability. And I absolutely love the solder-on Unify Pro mount that it includes as well. And let's be honest, F3s, yes, I know they're going to be a little bit behind with the performance of the new filtering options coming out, but the flight characteristics are still they're still fine for most pilots right now. I know a lot of the top pilots and the people who are really into the latest and greatest are crazy about F4s, and now we're even moving into F7s, but F3 is still nothing to scoff at, and the majority of people who fly this are not going to notice the difference despite it being an F3. Again, I'm just happy they went with something that's reliable and has proven itself so far over the last few months instead of sticking something new on that might not last. So overall, guys, after flying this for a couple of weeks, I'm super impressed with the design, with the durability, and at a price tag of only about $235, it's a pretty crazy deal if you want to get a high-performance racing quadcopter that you don't have to put together yourself, that's ready to go, that's going to be durable, reliable, and have crazy performance. And again, 5S ready, which is fantastic if you're looking for that extra power there. So that's it for now, guys. I want to thank Diatone for sending this out for me to check out. Really appreciate it. I love working with those guys, and I know you'll love this quadcopter if you check it out too. So that's it for now, and we'll catch you next time.